All right. We're building bookshelves this week. And this very well be my first YouTube video, so we'll see how that works out. My studio is a mess, and I haven't painted yet, and we're still figuring out the flow of everything, but you know what? That's life. Let's rip down some plywood. Commence timeline. So adamant about not covering these wires up, and then I open up the baseboard. that rounds up week 1. I'm hopefully going to post week by week, just showing progress, also to keep myself a little accountable. What happened in week 1 was we started framing out the bookshelves and started around the window, kind of working left to right just because we want the tops to match up. So when we put the trim on, it'll all line up really nicely at that very top part. We fixed some of our mistakes, learning curves and all of that. I really am loving the shape that it's coming along on the window, capping that. It's very satisfying, and once we add all of our fun trim details, it can just sing, and I'm really excited for those. We kind of pivoted from the original design. We were essentially going to put an L-shaped shelf here in this corner, but we just did not have enough structural support in the walls. This was like an add-on. It used to be a porch, we think. And some of the studs in the walls are what should be, and some of them are just weird. So kind of pivoted and made this into just 2 separate bookshelves instead of one big like L-shaped, which changed this corner as well. We're gonna do that same thing. It's supposed to be like an open floating L, and now it's gonna be 2 separate. But once we got to this part, it made it feel like, after doing some math, that was gonna be like really, really small, and then this one was gonna be really big. So I don't know if you can tell, but the bottom riser, we have like 10 inches that we scooted the bookshelf over to kind of split the difference of the wall. Instead of having one big and one small, they look a little more uniformed. And I think that that's gonna help us when we get down the line to lights, and a light can just go right in the middle and everything's symmetrical and pretty and intentional. Well, next week we're gonna work on doing all of the shelves and then finishing over the daybed with the short the top, like, what do you want to call them? Little floating 2 shelves that go up and around the daybed, and then one skinny shelf to cap off the whole thing. But what I was gonna say before is we're gonna keep that riser on the floor and probably make like a cute little built-in tabletop shelf for next to the daybed. Kind of trying to figure out how to fix mistakes, because mistakes are gonna happen. They just do. So I think all the planning in the world cannot prep you for when you actually start building. So just because walls aren't level, the studs don't have what you want them to have, and you pivot. That's okay. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering why we aren't using Billy bookcases, as everyone does. I think that the space is a little too specific. If it was just one wall or one nook, sure, Billy bookcases, that's fine. Preference-wise, not a big fan of particle board, which is what most Billy bookcases are, and then having to fill in all of those shelf bracket holes. Not a big fan of it, but I think since this space is like a full wall and then corner, and then another wall, it was just easier to build it custom. I think that I'll try to explain my process as I'm going, in case you also want to build something custom. Try to bring my brain outside of my body, and yeah. Once I get all of the plywood finished, I'm going to show y'all what we did to like prep for trim pieces, just because you kind of have to work backwards in order to make sure everything is buttoned up. Thanks for following along, and I don't know, stay tuned for fun progress. Cheers.